Imagine standing in front of a state board, clinical supervisor, or an insurance auditor, trying to defend a critical diagnostic decision, only to realize your file is filled with vague, subjective assumptions. Today, we're breaking down the exact blueprint to eliminate diagnostic vulnerability, master objective charting, and safeguard your practice from administrative fatigue. Before we dive into step one, if you want to follow along using the exact clinical case management software we are featuring today to manage your intakes, scheduling, secure messaging, and progress notes, click the link in the description below to grab your free 21-day trial. To transform our intake process, we're going to walk through a four-stage roadmap today. First, we will target and eliminate narrative bias. Next, we will cover the systemic person in environment variables. Then we will address the common form mistakes. And finally, we'll look at unifying this into a secure, streamlined clinical workflow. Let's dive into our first major pitfall. The first major mistake is over-relying on subjective narrative bias. Writing that a clinic appeared uncooperative or resistant or aggressive in your clinical files is a major audit risk. To avoid this, we must master the balance of objective versus subjective charting in social work. Instead of labeling an attitude, document specific observable sensory behaviors. State exactly what the client said or did, such as crying, pacing, or speaking in a raised tone. This simple shift keeps your records legally defensible. Our second pitfall is ignoring systemic or environmental blind spots. I remember a clinical supervisor sharing a story about a clinic who was almost discharged from a mental health program for non-compliance because they missed 3 consecutive therapy appointments. It turned out the client lived in a severe transit resource desert and couldn't afford a ride share when a local bus broke down. If we fail to document environmental barriers like housing instability or transit deficits, our interventions will fall flat. Always integrate the holistic person in environment framework into your assessments. The third pitfall comes down to the therapist intake form mistakes. When initial paperwork is overly complex, disconnected, or completely paper-based, clerical errors skyrocket. Clients get overwhelmed and leave critical boxes empty. Data privacy rules are glazed over, and therapists end up manually typing the exact same biographical data 3 different times into separate records. This creates administrative gaps and compromises client data storage compliance from day one. Mistake number 4 is rushing trauma history checks. Interrogating a fragile client about deep historical trauma during an initial 45-minute intake session is a recipe for re traumatization and can easily fracture the therapeutic relationship. To prevent trauma informed documentation errors, document the existence of trauma at a high level during intake and focus your immediate notes on safety planning, emotional stabilization, and the client's current coping resources. Deep clinical exploration should only occur once safety and trust are fully established. Our fifth pitfall is a disconnect between initial assessments and long term goal tracking. In traditional fragmented practices, the psychosocial intake note is filled away as a static document, never to be looked at again, while the treatment plan exists on a completely separate form. A modern compliant clinical process dynamically links your initial intake markers to progress notes and treatment goals, ensuring a seamless, audit-proof record of therapeutic growth. Let's put some numbers behind this challenge. Studies show that social workers and therapists spend roughly 33% of their week on manual administrative paperwork. This is 1/3 of your professional career spent wrestling with documents, tracking calendars, and chasing signatures. Finding ways to reduce this administrative pressure isn't just a matter of convenience, It's crucial for preventing clinical burnout and protecting your time for direct patient care. To solve these challenges, we need to transition to a unified digital intake cycle. This means utilizing secure, digital templates that clients can complete on their own devices prior to arrival. We collect objective, structured data, map those baseline metrics directly into their treatment plan, and store all files securely in a HIPAA-compliant cloud database. It is secure, organized, and drastically reduces manual friction. To summarize our journey today, here's a clinical blueprint for success. First, always replace subjective labels with observable, objective client behaviors. Formally record environmental and systemic barriers alongside emotional symptoms. Simplify and digitize your client intake forms to avoid administrative errors. Prioritize trauma stabilization and client safety over historical interrogation. Link your initial assessments directly to progress notes and treatment goals. If you want to execute these steps seamlessly without drowning in administrative fatigue, consider trying Case Management Hub. It centralizes your scheduling, digital intakes, clinical notes, treatment goals, and tracking into one secure all-in-one platform. Click the link in the description below to start your free 21-day trial today, with absolutely no credit card required. Once you click the link, you'll be brought to this page. Just enter your first name, last name, and email, as well as your organization name, and select your practice area. We also recommend that you enter a phone number. And once you're done, you'll be brought to the main dashboard, which allows you to perform quick actions among many other things. And we're going to see how easy it is to add a new client and then send them one of our form templates. So step one, you want to navigate to the clients module from the sidebar. If you've chosen a different audience type when creating your account, that type will be shown here instead of the word client. All right, step two, we're going to click the plus button here on the top right. And you're given two options. So you can either manually add a single client, or I can add several clients through an import spreadsheet. We're going to do add manually. So step three, we're going to add a first and last name and an email address. And because we want to send forms to this client, we're going to put a check mark in Send Client Account Invitation. Another quick tip is there are several other options on this pop-up, such as who or which staff is assigned this particular client, as well as some other options under More, such as phone. You can modify the client ID, assign the particular client to a program, or an incoming referral source. Once you're ready, click Save. Step four, we're going to click on Send Forms with Invite here at the top. What you can go and do is you can go and choose the forms that you want to send. So I want to send GAD, go to GAD, and then when you're ready, click Send. Step five, you actually want to go back to the Forms module, and this will allow you to track whether forms have been completed or are still pending. You can click the count on either the pending or the completed column. And don't forget to like this video, as it lets me know that you've received value from it. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss great content like this one.